Garcetti for the next presentation.
And if Council Members Pacheco and Reyes will join me. Somebody wants to come? We'll wait for Council Member Reyes and Pacheco.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Colleagues, members of the public, it is a joy and an honor today. I don't know if we can get the camera to pan down a little bit here, or maybe you guys can hold the sign up. To celebrate the establishment in the city of Los Angeles of historic Filipino town. There you see it. We'll hold it up again later. I should have started with Mabuhay. This celebration today marks so many years of Filipino history in the United States of America and in this land. While we are a collection of many, many people here today who have played a small part in this creation, we must hearken even further back today to look at what we are celebrating. In 1587, a full 50 years before Jamestown was settled, there were Filipinos here in the New World. Many of them were forced to work on Spanish galleons. In California, they first landed in Morro Bay. Luzon Indians, they were referred to. In 1763, here then in the colonies, the first folks that came from the Philippines settled in Louisiana. Manila men, they were referred to at the time. In the bayous and the marshes of Louisiana, they established a permanent presence here from the earliest days of this land's history. And here in the city of Los Angeles, one of the original pobladores, Antonio Miranda Rodriguez, was one of the 44 individuals in 1781 who came to our city and who established this city, El Pueblo de Nuestra Reina de Los Angeles. We have had many waves of immigration of Filipinos to Los Angeles, to California, and to the United States. And in the new census, Filipino Americans are the largest Asian American ethnic group in the United States of America. The first wave started really after 1812, a second wave from 1906 to 1934, shared a common past with many of our Latino brothers and sisters who also experienced Spanish colonialism. In 1926, and throughout the Great Depression, the Filipino-American community faced great hardships. They were added to the anti-miscegenation laws. They were told that they couldn't live in many parts of our city. There were signs that said, no dogs and no Filipinos allowed. And yet the proud history of the Filipino people here, first settling downtown near Bunker Hill and moving on from Little Tokyo and into what has now been referred to as Temple Beaudry or Temple Beverly. It is that area today really where the wave that came after World War II of immigration settled in what we are calling historic Filipino town. So many great Filipinos served in the United States Armed Services. As I've shared with this body before, my own grandfather fought in the Philippines in World War II alongside many of them. And my own grandfather, who was Mexican at the time, received his citizenship. And for the many veterans who have not received the benefits they are promised by the city, we finally have some light at the end of the tunnel this year with the House passing a benefits bill for health care for Filipino-American veterans, Filipino veterans. 50 years late. A third wave from 1945 to 1965 of immigration, and then after the Immigration Act of 1965, really up to 20,000 Filipinos a year would enter the United States in the fourth wave after 1965. As I mentioned, they are now the biggest Asian American group in the United States, but when you go to different cities and you see how many Chinatowns there are and little Tokyos, there's a dearth of recognition of this cultural heritage. It would have been easy for us to put these signs up the first day that I was in office. We can direct the city to do so, but we wanted these signs to represent something. And so George Villanueva from my staff, Chito Tenza, and members of the community, both Filipino and non-Filipino, spent 1 year doing focus groups with business groups, with senior citizens, with young people, with residents, with non-Filipinos and Filipinos, to talk about what area and what sort of projects and what future historic Filipino town could have. So today it is the corridor of Temple Beverly, in Council District 13 and Council District 1 previously as well, that this remains still a port of entry for the Filipino American community and for so many immigrants. And it possesses that vibrant energy that all of us celebrate and recognize today. In addition, though, today, let us remember the past efforts of people like John Ferraro, our great council president, who had a sign Filipino Town many years ago, but unfortunately we were never able to recognize the promise of actually putting it up. Of people like Connie Guerrero and thousands of others who did the research and the time to look into the history of Filipinos in Los Angeles. And then this new group that has come together who we seek to recognize today. Before I turn over the microphone to Assemblymember Goldberg and to my two other colleagues, I want to say just something from my heart, that this represents so many more people than we see here today. As overwhelming as your presence is and your participation has been, the contributions of Filipinos in America, from Agapito Flores, who invented the fluorescent light bulb here in the United States in the 1940s, Eduardo San Juan, who helped design the dune buggies that was on the moon, and I could go on and on and on. The contributions of Filipinos in America are grand, wide, and great, and that is what we celebrate today, that they have a historic home, a heart for their community, a place where all Filipinos are welcome and will continue to prosper and flourish. So I'd like to ask Jackie Goldberg to step forward. Mabuhay ang Ngay Filipino, mabuhay ang Nga Filipino Town. Jackie Goldberg.
Thank you. I'm thrilled that I could be here to join in this celebration and to just add my congratulations to all of you who've made this possible. And now that you've passed a resolution doing this here, that will allow me to take it to the state to have Caltrans mark an exit on the freeway north and southbound on the 101 to let people know where they can get off to see Filipino Town. I'd like to say it will happen quickly, but we don't even have a budget yet, so what can I tell you? But it will happen, And I also, too, want to just say that it is a community that may have stars that have done these particular things, but on a day-to-day basis, it's a community that values education, it's a community that values family, that values music and art and literature, that has libraries, that has teachers. You can go into every Filipino family that I've ever met, there's at least one that's a school teacher or a school employee. It values those things that are important to this city. And because it does that, because there are these basic values in this community, it's an important part of the fabric of Los Angeles, and I'm very happy to be here to congratulate everybody on this wonderful day.
I'd like to ask Councilmember Reyes to join us up here next. I also want to recognize the Acting Consul General from the nation of the Philippines, Ruth Prado, who is here, and also the Mayor of Walnut Hill, Tony Cartagena, who is here as well. Thank you for joining us.
I want to congratulate Councilmember Garcetti for his leadership in making sure this happens to our Filipino community, Councilmember Nick Pacheco for all his support. In many ways, the healthiest thing we can do is conduct ourselves in a manner where we can act as if we don't have political boundaries. The Filipino community abounds and stretches out throughout many neighborhoods. I've had the pleasure of working with some great people, Gerald Gubatan from my office when we used to work together back in the planning department in the previous council office. Today I have Ruby De Vera from my office, works in the Northeast Democratic Club. And so we have leaders. I know we have a strong presence in our city family in various departments. So it is only appropriate, and it's about time that we acknowledge the richness of our history of our city and through the richness of the Filipino community. Thank you very much for everything you've done.
Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Pacheco.
Mr. President, colleagues, I just wanted to commend Councilmember Garcetti for completing a lot of the work that was started by Ferraro, Goldberg, and by all the Latino, and all the Filipino community leaders who have been working on this for so long. I want to thank you for sticking to it and commend you for your persistence. And we all know that the Filipino community is throughout Los Angeles. We have a great representation in the Eagle Rock, Highland Park area with Philippine Village right there on Eagle Rock Boulevard. And so for my constituents And for all of us who are representatives in the city of Los Angeles, I just want